how does a biblical prophecy tie into our world? Because biblical prophecy says specifically the wealth of the sinner, the Federal Reserve notes, the banksters, all the ones that created this money out of thin air, the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous, which means that they lose everything. So we're about to see fulfillment of prophecy in our lifetime. And when this event happens, celebrate, people. Celebrate those that are wise and listening to you, to myself, the benefits of owning cryptocurrencies, okay, the good ones. Though there's going to be many, 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 many millionaires this summer.
What's up, guys? It's your boy James, aka 68J, coming to you on this Saturday, and I'm super excited as I'm joined by the one and only, my brother. You guys know him. We had him on yesterday, Echo the Truth, and also special guest Bo Polny. Bo, how you doing? Echo, how you doing, my friend?
Absolutely great.
Appreciate it. This will be a fun chat. I've listened to a couple of your guys' podcasts, and honestly didn't know much about either of you. But I love your energy, which is really awesome. You guys got fantastic energy, which is, critical, because you got to bring happiness to the space. There's so much, bad news out there. So you got to have the good energy. I love that about you guys. And you guys are speaking truth about finance, and so we'll have a nice talk today.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Let me go through some of these amazing facts about who Bo is. First off, my phone's here messing up on me. First of all, this is the one and only Bo Polny, a man of many talents and insights. Bo is a renowned biblical cycle timing expert and geopolitical financial analyst. I'm sorry. He has been featured on numerous media platforms, including CNBC's Crypto Trader. And let's see here. We have ElijahStreams.com, HisGlory.me, USAWatchdog.com, Nino's Corner TV. It looks like Kitco.com, FlyoverConservatives.com, just to name a few. I mean, all over this guy is just world renowned in what he does. Bo's unique approach to analyzing market trends and cycles has earned him a place among the top analysts in the world, particularly in the realms of gold, silver, and the cryptocurrency market. Oh my gosh, I'm getting excited here. With possibly the highest track record of verifiable, accurate Bitcoin timing forecasts, Bo's expertise has been sought after by investors and analysts alike. But Bo's insights don't stop at just markets. His extensive knowledge in biblical cycles and their correlation to global events and economic trends has made him a leading voice in the world of financial and geopolitical forecasting. He has been invited to speak at various conferences worldwide, including Reawaken America Tour, where he has shared his wisdom with audiences eager to understand the complex interplay of cycles, history, and the future of our world. Here's a few questions that we're going to go over with Bo, if you don't mind. So let's start with this. Mr. Polny, is it okay if I call you Bo? You want me to call you Mr. Polny?
Oh, Bo is wonderful. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I appreciate that, Bo. Thank you so much.
Well, thanks for the nice intro.
Well, hey,
somebody even wrote that about me.
It's great to have a legend in the house. We appreciate you in a major way. So let's start with this. As a biblical cycle timing expert and geopolitical financial analyst, how do you use your expertise to make predictions and provide guidance to your followers, if you don't mind?
A couple ways I do that. One is I use scriptures within the Bible. Mm-hmm. And the second thing is I just have this understanding, which God speaks to people. Okay. So, this is called prophets. I'm not a prophet particularly, but God shows me things. And specifically, when there's a line written in the Bible, it says that which has been will be again. And it's like when people say, if you don't, like I also say, if you don't study history, you'll never know the future. There's a thing that, life replays itself. It echoes, echoes of the past. We've heard that saying as well, too. The reason you hear those things is because, again, there's nothing new in the world. In other words, there's nothing new under the sun. Life tends to replay itself. New characters, new people, new same windows of time, but a different, maybe, a different century. And so that's in essence what's been going on within our world. We're seeing echoes of the past in our lifetime So we're blessed to be living in not political times, even though it might feel like it. These are biblical times, and we are living in biblical times. And so I watch a little bit of what you guys talk about. You're talking about precious metals. See, in order for like silver, an example, right? In order for silver to ever go triple digit, in order for silver ever to break $49, $50, right? It's got to be an act of God. And I really mean that, because these people, they create money out of thin air. We can talk about that later in the podcast, but the bottom line is Nixon took us off the gold standard, and now we got money to, we got money up the yin yang. We got money to infinity. In the 70s, there was I joke about the movie Gilligan's Island, man. The guy was, the millionaire and his wife.
Yeah,
right?
That's a classic.
Right, the classic movie. I used to love that. I was a kid in the 70s, right? And now, like, if you're a millionaire, like, that's everybody on the block who owns a house pretty much here in California. You see what I'm saying? And so a million is a drop in the bucket now with regard to home values. But on the other side of it, there's now we're not even in billionaires, we're in trillionaires. Okay, we're in quadrillionaires. So just have the viewers understand the magnitude of money. Okay, $1 million. If I asked Echo to count to 1 million, it would take you 12 days not sleeping. Okay, but now we're not in the millions, we're in the quadrillions. So we went from the 70s millions to quadrillions, which is 1,000 billion.
Wow.
Okay, and so if you wanted to count to a quadrillion, it would take you 31 million years not sleeping. So we went from a droplet of money in the 70s to an ocean of money, and you wonder why everything's getting more expensive. You wonder why homes, they're 50 years from the 70s to now. The home is 50 years old, but yet it's worth $1 million or $2 million or whatever it is relative to a $30,000 house in the 70s. You see what I'm saying? So the money supply has been the root of all evil. And what I basically say is the root of evil is their love of money. And who is they? They is the ones that work for an evil regime called Satan or Lucifer, which is in the Bible. So what I specifically do is, I understand timelines. So God, I look at historic cycles to answer your question. I look at God will literally reveal to me where I look within cycles. And so, like for the past 6 months, for example, I'll show you a chart later on. But for the past 6 months, every single turn. So every time Bitcoin would go up, hit a top and drop down, and go up, hit a top, and then drop down. Every single one is an example for the past 9 months, just because I can show you that. Otherwise, you go to prior reports. But for the past 9 months, the cycles have nailed every single top and bottom to the exact day within 24 hours. Including where we're at right now. So I was writing in December, watch March hit. You're going to see new all-time highs in Bitcoin, and you'll see it directly about the first week of March. Look what happened. I was writing this in December, right? And now, I'm writing other things which are really exciting. The point is, when you understand cycles, you remove the noise. I'm going to repeat that. If you understand cycles, you remove the noise, because all the noise that's out there ultimately ends up fulfilling the cycles that are already written. So you can't change what's coming. The future's written. That's the wild part. People don't understand, they think, the future's random. Oh, no, that's the farthest from the truth. The future is already written. All that's random is where you're going to be in the future. Where are you going to be in the future? Are you going to be on the side of being wise? Did you make smart financial decisions? Do you love Jesus? Which side are you on? Because that's the only randomness. And then the other thing, so that's understanding chart patterns. And then the other thing is I literally use the cycles or timelines written in the Bible. So when it says it rained for 40 days and 40 nights. Okay, we're going to talk about that today and how that relates to where our world is right now. But a good example of what I use biblically, it talks about in Daniel. It says for a time, Daniel 12, verse 7, I think it says, it'll be for a time, times, and a half a time. So what that says is that's a time is a year, times is 2 years, and a half a time is a half a year. So that's 3.5 years.
Okay.
If you take 3.5 years from when Trump, so now let's apply that to our life, just so you can understand what that means. So Trump gets elected in 2016. You run a time times and a half a time, that 3.5 years, which is exactly, see, this is not this, when God's involved, it's exact. So that's 1,260 days. 1,260 days from when he gets elected end up being April 20th of the year 2020. And on that exact day, we all witnessed, but this is a financial event. Oil plunged to negative $38 a barrel on that exact day. Now, that was what God revealed to me, a marker in time. And then he said to me, what I heard very clearly is count 40 days forward. Well, 40 days forward took you to where? The George Floyd riots, Pentecost.
Wow.
Okay. And what happened? All hell broke loose on the earth at the 40-day mark. Well, that's going to tie into our timeline. We'll talk about that a little later today. And then the next calculation is, well, from oil going to negative $38 a barrel, if you read scripturally, the water kept elevating from the deep for 100 to the 150th day. And it topped at the 150th day, and then it started to recede. Well, I said, watch 150 days from oil going to zero. Something's going to happen. See, I don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
But what I do know is an important time point. Then we just wait and watch. So I'm going to reference a time point that's coming here in our near future. We'll talk about that as well, too. But what I want to say is, on that day, I think it was September 18th, 2020, I'm like, watch something happen. And it was like nothing. I'm telling you something's going to happen. And then like at 7, 8 o'clock that night, they announced that Ruth Bader Ginsburg dies. Right. And then so that was the death of Ginsburg precisely at 150 days from oil going to negative $38 a barrel. And then backwards, 1,260 days to the day Trump got elected. You see how perfect the math is? See, and then so what you understand is what you start to seeing is that you can take these biblical scriptures, you take the windows of time within them. So you get a starting point and an end point. Right. And then you watch what happens. And that takes me back to, we're not in political times, we're in biblical times, because biblical things are manifesting. You don't believe me? Go turn on the news. Are you like, it's like crazy out there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I hope that's kind of a long-winded answer to basically using cycles. You can understand cycles within the financial markets, particularly precious metals and cryptocurrencies. Oh, cryptocurrencies are so amazing to. And I back to cryptocurrencies. I use Bitcoin as grandpa. I call it grandpa because if grandpa's going up, it's a directional coin. So if Bitcoin's in a bear market, I don't care what anybody says, everything's in a bear market, including all the XRP fans, okay? XRP's done, it had one jump, I think, in just January or whatever else, but basically, unless Bitcoin breaks vertical, XRP's going nowhere. People, I'm telling you, okay? So you better watch Bitcoin because Bitcoin is grandpa, and if grandpa's not going anywhere, neither is XRP, because I know there's a lot of you guys talk about XRP, but again, grandpa's about to go somewhere, and it's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree.
So there's our intro.
Yeah, I definitely agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think it's brilliant insight, and I want Echo to respond as well. But when it comes to XRP, the one thing that you're saying that's right on point is that it's moving with the market. So if Bitcoin goes up, it goes up with the rest of the market. If Bitcoin dips, it dips until it doesn't. And I think once it's embraced for what it was created for, which is the utility and institutional adoption, then that things will change. But until then, you're spot on. Echo, if you can either elaborate or you can ask the next question, either or.
No, I love. Hey, Bo, thank you very much for sharing all that information, because I believe exactly what you said, right? Like, if you don't know history, then you don't know what's gonna come to pass, right? And I believe that the Bible is a history book, and you have to understand and take that information and apply it to what's going on in our current society, in our world. That helped me understand that everything that we're living through right now is biblical time. Right. And then because I grew up in the era of like technology, right, and I can apply that to what we're using right now. And a lot of people that, don't see that, when we're going through these, unique time periods of our lives, they sit there and say, okay, well, it's the end of days, right? And everything's going to change, and all this darkness is about to happen. Although there is darkness, right, there is also light at the end of the tunnel. And I try to let people know, to utilize that information that we have right here, right now, and to apply that to better our lives, right? Whether you're positive or negative against, AI technology or cryptocurrency, you can't stop what is coming. So in my opinion, you might as well go ahead and learn from it and try to benefit from it in that case.
That's right. You're spot on. We'll get into the second question there. Again, towards Bo, can you explain the significance of the biblical cycles you study and how they relate to the current events and economic trends that we see right now?
Biblically, we are in end time. Actually, before we even do that question, I wanted to see if we can, because I know there's so many people out there that just are these the XRP maximalists, and they love it. I want to illustrate something to the viewers, and then we can go to the next question.
I want
to share. Let me share this screen here.
Yeah, go ahead.
And put this up. So
I got
hopefully
you.
you can see the screen here.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
So here is XRP. And why I want to show this screen is because when you look at XRP, everyone was so fired up about the lawsuit and everything over here in July. Remember this event here? I think it was July 13th. That's what I have marked here. I guess so. So we had this massive spike up in XRP, right? So XRP went completely vertical, and it was like, yeah, the lawsuit, right? And then look what happened. It's trading over here at 51 cents. So it basically, the lawsuit announced, boom, it spiked to just under $1.92, or 94 cents in July. But basically, since July, it's gone nowhere. You get what I'm saying when I say that XRP is not going anywhere unless Bitcoin goes somewhere. See, that's what I'm trying to illustrate to the viewers. I'm just showing you. I'm not making this stuff up. This is the real deal. And XRP is never going to be allowed to blow vertical. Okay, it's never going to be allowed to blow vertical unless God intervenes. I'm just telling you. Okay, this lawsuit is going to go on for 10 more years. Okay, because they will not. The reason they will not let XRP run vertical, it's very simple, because what do they use to control and enslave humanity? The Federal Reserve. No, you see, for the same thing, like they can control a Bitcoin to the degree that they control silver and gold.
Yeah.
People need to understand the difference between precious metals and cryptocurrencies. See, the example I can give you is blockchain. You cannot make a Bitcoin. You must mine Bitcoin. There's no making Bitcoin out of thin air. It don't work that way, okay? What you can do is you can gangbang it. I mean, like you can tag team it, so you can have the whole media, globally, all the media stations come together and say Bitcoin's a fraud, and so Bitcoin's dead. And that's what they do. See, they control the airways. So they take Tether, they buy up Bitcoin they make Tether out of pretty much thin air, from what I gather, and then they can buy up Bitcoin, and then on the same day they all announce bad news about Bitcoin, and they all tag team it, and they all tank it, and so there's your cycle patterns that Bitcoin ends up forming, and then XRP is going to follow patterns of that, because bottom line is, unless the Federal Reserve note, the US dollar, the Federal Reserve note is dethroned as the world's reserve currency, like look what they just sent to Ukraine. What? The Federal Reserve note, and a whole bunch of it. You get what I'm saying? See, they use the Federal Reserve note to enslave humanity. So we went back from a droplet of water in the 70s to an ocean of water. Now, where's that ocean of water right now? Well, people that are listening, raise your hand if you got a credit card. Raise your hand if you got a car loan. Raise your hand if you got a mortgage. Raise your hand if you got a student loan. You see, raise your hand, and you'll find that pretty much by the time I'm just done speaking here, everybody's got their hand raised up because they've got one or all of those things.
That's right.
And so all of those things are basically an enslavement system to enslave and control you. And so now you go to work every single day. You have to understand money. Now people go to work every single day to pay back a debt that was created out of thin air. I'm going to repeat that. The money system's a fraud. You go to work every day to repay a debt that you believe you owe, because this is basically smoke and mirrors. You believe you owe a debt. But this debt was created out of thin air. It's not backed by gold. It's not backed by silver. It's not even backed by oil anymore, because the Kissinger contract with the Saudis, the Saudis now joined the BRICS. So now it's just complete fiat money backed by nothing. And you believe, and the world still believes they owe it. Why? Because this is the second generation of the Federal Reserve note. So people actually think, because they were born into this money system, that they owe money, and this is money, you see. But when you understand finance, and more importantly, you study history. When you go back and study history, this is to kind of answer your bigger question. If you study history, you'll know the future. Well, history's shown that every single money system that's ever been created in the world, I'm going to repeat that slowly. Every single money instrument from Rome, Persia, Greece, any money system that's ever been created, everyone went to, listen closely, zero, zilch, nada, okay? That will happen by the end of this decade for the U.S. Federal Reserve note. Okay, so the Federal Reserve note's about to go to zero, but not tomorrow, not this week, not this year, but by the end of the decade, it will be worth less. It's going to go worth less by 30%. It'll be dethroned as a world reserve currency. That's the first one. Then worth less again, another 30% haircut in a few years from now. and then by the end of the decade, worthless, like zero. Okay, so why will crypto and net currencies be necessary? Because cryptocurrencies will be the transactional instruments of blockchain. And I don't mean all of them. We don't need 20,000 or 10,000 cryptocurrencies.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah.
You're probably going to need maybe 50 to 100 of them. So the good ones will end up surviving, but they will be worth incredible values, incredible prices. Why? Because the world will be using these cryptocurrencies to transact. Why? So right now, I'm not sure what state you're in, but I can click a button wherever you are, and within a fraction of a second, you will receive a fraction of a Bitcoin or a Litecoin or what XRP, whatever I send you, you will have in a fraction of a second. Why? Because the world doesn't stop just because the Federal Reserve note is dethroned as a world reserve currency. So in a nutshell, XRP, well, actually, forget about that. Blockchain, Bitcoin, blockchain, the good currency, cryptocurrencies, and the US and silver and gold simply become a workaround the Fed.
Right.
That's why, unless the US dollar is dethroned as the world reserve currency, you're never going to see XRP rip, Ripple rip. You're never going to see a rip vertical ever.
Right.
Unless the Federal Reserve note is dethroned as the world reserve currency. But that's why, unless the US dollar is dethroned as the world reserve currency, you're never going to see XRP rip, Ripple rip. You're never going to see a rip vertical ever.
Right.
Unless the Federal Reserve note is dethroned as the world reserve currency. But now you got something coming up that's called the BRICS, in the BRICS nations. So, all these BRICS nations are joined: Brazil, Russia, India, China, South Africa. Now, even Saudi Arabia has joined the BRICS. So, which is the other half of the petro. So there's no petro in our dollar because the Saudis have joined the BRICS. Like, the whole thing's a complete sham right now. And if people don't understand what's going on, they're about to find out. And so what I'm going to say here in a fun note is, by this summer, because the dollar is about to be dethroned as the world reserve currency. So you ask, how does a biblical prophecy tie into our world? Because biblical prophecy says specifically the wealth of the sinner, the Federal Reserve notes, the banksters, all the ones that created this money out of thin air, the wealth of the sinner is stored up for the righteous, which means that they lose everything. So we're about to see fulfillment of prophecy in our lifetime. And when this event happens, I'm telling you, by this summer, celebrate, people. Celebrate those that are wise and listening to you, to myself, the benefits of owning cryptocurrencies, okay, the good ones. Though there's going to be many, 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 many millionaires this summer. Watch and see. Really exciting.
Yeah, love that perspective. For those of you guys just joining, we're here with the one and only Bo Polny, my brother Echo. Just what an incredible show, guys! And what I love about this show, Echo hit me last minute to bring Bo on, and I said, man, I would love to get a different opinion and just go in some different areas that we haven't. So we definitely appreciate you, sir, and all you doing. I'm going to turn it over to Echo to give some feedback on what you just said.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Bo, I appreciate you coming on and reaching out to me to come on. Because everything that you're saying, right, is spot on, right? I agree with you. The Federal Reserve note, there is not a backing to our current dollar right now, and not a lot of people understand that, right? And precious metals is God's money. Right? Not a lot of people understand that is God's money, and the real ratio, and why I'm bullish on precious metals such as silver, right? And the study that I did was that gold and silver go back all the way back into creation of human existence. Okay, and it was always ratioed at 1 to 15, around that price point or around that point period, right? But now silver is at 1 to 90. Okay. And that just tells you how undervalued that the precious metal that silver is. Okay. And you're not even constituting the amount of money that's been printed throughout the past throughout the past years, right? Ever since the pandemic, most predominantly. So, to keep the precious metals down, we're only expecting the price to appreciate. And then when you talk about, let's just say, for example, cryptocurrencies, right? That's a whole new asset class that a lot of people, they sit here and say market cap, but market cap only constitute to a stock evaluation. Digital assets are not stocks, right? So this thing is going to be biblical. If you don't mind, if I share my screen,
Absolutely.
Because there is when you mentioned the Federal Reserve note, there is here we go. So this was the image that was given through the U.S. debt clock back in January 30th, earlier this year, and it talked about the Federal Reserve note, right? And it talked about the new USA Treasury dollars, that the rainbow currency that we've all speculated on. And this is a secret image that that was given to us, that many of us helped decode, and how we're going to be going into this Treasury dollar that's actually going to be backed by gold, silver, copper, oil, gas, the stock market, new energy, right? And this actually, it relates to a lot of things that are going on right now when it comes to like the BRICS nation going on to a unified ledger, and then most predominantly how Ripple, how they announced their stable coin, right? That's going to be built on the Ethereum network, but also on the XRP ledger. But it's going to be in that stable coin. It's going to have short-term U.S. Treasury bonds, but also it will also have a backing of digital assets as well. I would love to hear what your thoughts are on this.
A lot of the questions that you have about these cryptocurrencies, I don't have answers to everything, because we're all watching all this unfold together. So to me, what's most important is, which direction is everything going? With regards to the Federal Reserve note, I'm also not the only person that's been talking about the collapse of the dollar. I've been talking about the collapse of the dollar, specifically, I would say, back from look at the cycles of time when Nixon takes us off the gold standard to the exact day. So we talk about the 50-year Jubilee. 50-year Jubilee to the exact day was August 15th, 2021. Okay, so what a coincidence, because there aren't any. Kabul fell on that exact day. You see, so these are cycles, these are biblical cycles that we're entrenched in, and you can't stop what's coming. And so, like the thing you just showed, there's that debt clock, and they talk about the silver, so I know I've seen you referencing this debt clock. And so the old money, the new money. My answer to you is I don't know, because God never said, hey, Bo, this is how this is going to play out. But I do know what he did show me, so I can talk at least about clarity on that, is that this is about to go down. We're going to see biblical things manifest in the financial sector very soon here, okay? And there's dates that are important, but I don't know the exact date that God's going to strike. And why? Because if God revealed that to me or anybody, then there might be a possibility that his perfect plan doesn't manifest, but he's undefeated. So he's never lost. He's always a winner, and he's going to win again. And so what we're basically seeing, and then let's look. So yes, you can use the debt clock, and no, I don't spend time looking at it. People sending me the images of it, and I find it fun. But my question is who's making those slides of the debt clock? Because a man still has to be doing it, and no one knows who's doing it. And so to me, a lot of it is just interesting. It's not bad information. It's interesting information. And I will agree with what the images they're portraying. So I'm not in disagreement. I just don't know who's doing it. And more importantly, when you're ever unsure about something, I always go back to the word and what's written. And so the word and what's written gives me really good clarity as to what's about to happen, and roughly a time window of when this could go down. So who cares? To me, it doesn't really matter what's on the debt clock, even though I find it fun to read and interesting when people send it to me. It's less important because to me, I just keep analyzing the patterns of time. And that's where my excitement is. So when I said, what people should be expecting for this summer, see, that's exciting to me because I know it's coming. If you get what I'm saying, right? Versus, trying to, but if you keep spending time on the dead clock, I wouldn't spend time on what really excites me is what's written. I hope that makes sense. And then, so in addition to what's written, I also like to study what the prophets have said, because God does nothing. This is this is a line in the Bible. It says, God does nothing before first speaking through his servants, the prophets. Okay, so God does nothing. So he won't. Now, first off, God can't lie. And then the other thing is, God is undefeated. and he does nothing. So he won't strike, or he won't act. He won't do anything against evil unless he first speaks through his servants, the prophets. So I'm going to play this 3-minute clip here for you, because I think your viewers might actually find this interesting. If I can just a minute, actually.
Yeah, and while you're doing that, go ahead, Echo, if you want to comment on that.
No, I 100% agree with you, because even like for me, so I spent a lot of time on the debt clock. I've been ever since they released the very first image back in December, or not December, October of last year, right? It had a lot of coincidental scriptures, especially right when it most predominantly one of the very first message was stating about throwing out the money changers, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And then it talked about bringing out the trumpets, right? So for me, it's like it has a lot of correlations with what a lot of things that are happening right now. And I put a lot of my religious backgrounds in the back end because of how I grew up in my family, right? So for me, I really focused on the debt clock itself and how it's correlating with everything going on economically, right? And then it's just coincidentally, it aligned with everything that's happening. What's happening with right now, we also coincidentally lined up with biblical scriptures, which I was kind of like, man, this is really coincidental. So then when I started digging more into everything, I pulled out my Bible and started reading it more. And I'm just like, oh my goodness, this is happening right now. And so whenever people are saying that, people make fun of me when I say that, okay, we're living through biblical times, right? And they mock me. And I'm like, no, don't mock me, because you haven't read it. You are not seeing it. You're not opening your eyes to what's really going on right here. Gold has hit all-time high, time after time after time again, I think about 4 or 5 times so far since it hit its bottom low of 1600. How many times does gold have to knock on the door before this thing goes parabolic? That's God's work right there.
Yeah.
And I also want to say this. See, the problem is the reason this is about to happen here, and the reason we're in these times, is because the world has been asleep, and I hope people can understand this. The system has been around for so long that people now every day they go to work, they chase money, they chase finance, they got to pay bills because the slavery system is in full bore, and so everybody's working every day to pay a debt that basically was created out of thin air. No one's worshiping God. And so, when you go back and study the thousands of years ago, everybody would wake up in the morning and, worship God every day. And the world's turned from that because the world is turned evil. And so what's coming is, and in addition to the finances that are coming, it's a great shaking. God's going to shake the heck out of this world. It's going to be wild what's about to go down, because when God moves, expect earthquakes, volcanoes to be popping off everywhere. It's going to be wild. We're starting to see the earth shifting. We're starting to see, New York just had an earthquake a little while ago at 4.8. So things are starting to move, but there's going to be a day where all heck breaks loose upon this world. And I do believe we are possibly days away, hours away from this event, because it could be anywhere between now and into a time point. I'll give you now is basically would be Pentecost. That would be the 19th of May. So we're supposed to see something manifest here shortly. And bottom line is, evil has stolen our inheritance, and God's about to restore the fortunes of Zion. And Zion would be, there's 2 points of Zion. One's, Israel, and also the United States would be considered Zion. So God's going to restore our fortune. And so those that are waiting for Bitcoin, for Ripple, for these XRP, for these coins to explode vertical, it'll be after the intervention where God intervenes, and then they lose control of the federal. There's not federal reserve. There's no reserves, and the note means it's paper. And so when they lose control of the Federal Reserve note, when the brothers of Goliath, the brothers in this prophecy, you listen to the brothers. This is a 12-year-old prophecy that talks about the fall of the brothers. The brothers of Goliath are the BRICS nations. They stand in glee, and we will cripple you. You is Goliath. Goliath, and we're talking about Goliath today. Goliath is the United States dollar, the Federal Reserve note that they've used to enslave and in bondage the entire globe and humanity. So let's listen to this prophecy right here. This is from Kim Clement 12 years ago about God restoring the fortunes of Zion. It's 3 minutes. And I think your viewers, if they haven't seen this, are really going to appreciate that God is in the mix of all of this.
A veil has been placed upon this nation, and I did it, so that for a season my people would wonder and faith would increase. For in darkness faith grows. But now my fury has ended. Hear me. I am restoring the fortunes of Zion. I am restoring the fortunes that were the inheritance of my people. I am restoring the fortunes of those that are elect of God and had been stolen from. You shall eat your delicacies again, and your children will no longer be your food. You shall not use them and take them out of the womb anymore, says the Lord. Watch how I change everything. The Supreme Court too shall step down for the embarrassment of what shall take place. For it is now time for me to restore the fortunes of Zion. I shouted, and they all shouted. They were one. They were one. One party. One party of people. Amongst them stood one that God had set aside to be the leader of this nation. And then I heard gold. He said to me, he will restore the fortunes in this nation. This man will throttle the enemies of Israel. This man will throttle the enemies of the West. And there are highly embarrassing moments that are about to occur. And people will become very afraid. I have said I will bring this nation to its knees. And God said, you have been humbled. And then you shall hear the sounds of great victory. For they are saying, how do we kill the giant? How do we kill the giant of debt? How do we kill the giant of socialism? How do we kill the giant of human secularism? I have placed that man amongst you. These that shall reject him shall be shocked at how he takes the giant down. The giant of death, the giants that have come, the brothers of Goliath, stand in glee watching America. We will cripple you. You will lose your credit. But God said, watch, I said 20,000. And he will take a simple stone and he will hold it up and they will laugh at him. But the plan is so brilliant, says the Lord. It could only have been given by me.
And by the way, as we get ready to continue on, let me send shots out to the almost just under 600 people that are watching live, just over 30-something minutes on X and on YouTube. Do me a huge personal favor. Make sure you go over to, let's see here, Bo Polny's X page is at Bo Polny. If you guys want to follow him, get some of that incredible insight. Just first class gentleman. We definitely are honored to have him on. And also, if you go over to his, there's a site here. I just pulled up here. Let me see if I can pull this out. It is gold2020forecast.com. Make sure you go over here and follow Bo and all his incredible insight and views. Also, do me a huge favor and go over and follow my brother here, Echo. And that would be at Echo the Truth. Definitely appreciate him and all that he's doing. And we're going to ask one more favor, and that is to go over to our Crypto4Life page. Make sure you guys hit the notification bell, subscribe so you guys don't miss any of this incredible information, these amazing interviews that we've been doing. Definitely a lot of value as you guys go over and subscribe. So I appreciate you in a major way. Let's continue on. Echo, we're going to have you make give some insight to that video, and then we'll go on with our next question, if you don't mind.
No, absolutely. I mean, I love that video because it definitely tells you that we're going through this time. We're going through these biblical times. I mean, people that are paying attention right now, they're going to create some of the greatest transfer of wealth of all time. right? And it takes people like us, right, like you, Bo, like me, like you, Jay, to actually bring that light into the darkness that we have right now. It's not easy, because I know people that are struggling day to day, right, especially with the inflation that it's creeping up on them, people that are losing their job left to right, and the economic turmoil of that are happening, and with the fear of a possible World War III that might spark out, for us to bring that light to fruition. Okay. But we all knew that, situations like this were going to occur. Okay. Because you cannot, we cannot remove, what they say, the Goliath, right? The evil out of this world without, some turmoil. But the great thing is that for us that are paying attention, we're going to be able to reap those rewards. That's right. So, Bo, I would, love to, go on to the next question. Can you discuss some of the key indicators or patterns that you look at when you're making these financial markets, when making predictions about financial markets and economic trends?
To be honest with you, I just look at history. It's as simple as that. If those who get my newsletter, it's the funniest, it's like the craziest thing, because the newsletter is not like if then, like, a lot of times you'll read people, do they'll do forecasts on markets or whatever. If this happens or if markets hit this price. My newsletters are the funniest thing. They're actually entertaining to read, because it, like, a month in advance I'm going to write this. It's like the perfect example. So it was it was October of the year 2021, and I'm writing the middle of October, like maybe the 15th of October. People who have my newsletter, go back and you can, it's all in there. Is middle of October, and like, watch the 8th, 9th of November. So when watching like 3 to 4 weeks, 3 weeks from now, you're going to see Bitcoin plunge through 19,000, and it's going to break support, and then it'll bottom roughly around the 21st of November, and that'll be a final bottom for years forward. This was written in October of 2021. So what happened come November 8th? Bitcoin plunged through 19,000, collapsed down to 14,000 on the exact day that we wrote about 3 weeks earlier. That video's got 700,000 views. Wow. Because people still freak out to this day that had happened that way. And I didn't know the event. See, I looked at history, and I knew the cycle that I was looking at clearly illustrated that on the 8th, 9th, Bitcoin is going to plunge through 19. It's going to plunge. And I was looking at supports at the time, and support was at 19, which means it's going to break 19 and going to collapse. And look at, and support came in right around 14, where I was thinking. So again, price targets are more of a guess, but the dates are not. The dates are the dates. And so what happened? Bitcoin crashed, and then we ended up finding that the event was the FTX scandal, the greatest financial scam in history, right? Which they've pretty much brushed under they don't talk about it anymore, right? But the point is, the cycle foretold what was coming. Just like the cycle is telling me and your viewer, I'm going to tell your viewers right now, the cycle is telling us, look forward to May. Okay. So the cycle is telling us, the newsletter has actually got a date in there as well, too. But May is going to be good, really good. And so it doesn't matter what the news is, because the cycle's already written. And so I know what's about to happen. I don't know the events, but I know roughly on or about when this is going to blow. And so it's exciting to watch all this, because God's in the mix of all of this stuff, and he is not going to let evil win. You see, and so let's look at and why would it happen now? It's like Jay's probably wondering, why would it happen now? Because it's kind of, a lot of people ask, why this year, or why now, this time point roughly? Well, let's look back and study Exodus. Okay, so when you go back and look at the book of Exodus, the story of Moses, is Israel ever going to be freed, right? And so, but there was a prophecy that was written, and that was specifically, Joseph said that there would be a savior for Israel, and he would come, And he would, and when they find out, how would you know who he is? Because he would say who sent him, and it was, I am that I am. And so when they heard that, that will be the mark of the Savior coming to free Israel. Well, it happened, whatever, I think several hundred years later, Moses goes up the mountain. And so I understand that, so Israel, let's look at the timeline. Israel was in bondage for 400 years. I'm going to repeat that. Israel was in bondage. Let's go some really simple biblical math here, because it's really exciting. It's really exciting. It's really exciting.
Awesome.
Israel's in bondage for 400 years. Interesting. Well, one of the Mayflower, and then they were freed from bondage. Moses shows up. God works through Moses, and so remember, God works through people, just like God's about to work through 45. You're going to see some awesome stuff about to go down here, okay? Because God works through people, and we're going to talk about this in a few seconds. But I'm going to go back to Israel, bondage 400 years, Mayflower lands, November 1620. Interesting. God said, once you count 400 years, okay. November 2020. What happened at the election, right? Okay, I don't want to use the word wherever you're posting this. So we know what happened at the election, November 2020. Now, when you run a cycle of time of 3.5 years so Daniel's time, it will be for times and a half a time. So God gave, because it will be, means God's going to give them whoever's in charge, they will have a 3.5 year window. If you get what I'm saying. So whoever's in charge will be allowed and allotted a 3.5 year window. So if you run from the election, I think it was like the 6th of 2020, and you run 1,260 days forward, what you end up having is April 19th, which just passed. And April 19th ended up being the day, right? It ended up being right into the weekend of Passover. So Passover is the critical time point that we're watching in our world right now. And we're in Passover, and Passover doesn't end until this coming Tuesday. So this Tuesday, Passover ends, and then we start heading into Pentecost, which is May 19th. And then there's a second Pentecost in the month of June, because there's 2 calendars. You see that the whole world's screwed up right now, because the Roman calendar is saying one thing, the Julian calendar is saying another thing, and then the Hebrew calendar, the God's calendar is saying another thing. Right. So there's like these clocks that are all messed up. And why? Because if you mess up the times, no one knows what time it is.
Interesting.
Get it? So if you don't know what time it is, then you're going to miss appointments, right? Yeah. But the point is, we're still in the season of spring, and spring brings with it in a birth of a new. So you were speaking earlier. You're mentioning a possible World War III. Well, when you read, it says in Matt, it says, I think in Isaiah, it says, there'll be wars and rumors of wars, but see to it that you're not deceived. Okay, so what do we have right now? We have wars.
Interesting.
And we have rumors of wars, but see to it that you are not deceived.
Right.
Don't be deceived. Read scriptures. It's important. Don't be deceived, because these are the beginnings. What's the beginnings of? It's not the beginning of World War III. No. It's the beginnings of birth pains. Well, if a woman's about to give birth, you're going to feel pain. And so if you watch the video I just played of Kim Clement talking about specifically, that video basically showed you August. Well, birth is 9 months. 9 months. So you got September, October, November, December, January, February, March, April, May.
Interesting.
May.
Very interesting.
So the calculations that I showed you in the video take you to next month. Wow. It's interesting that on Wednesday is the international distress signal, Mayday, 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 May 1. You see, all of these things are coming together. There's a prophecy of Kim Clement that said between the 70th and 100th day, the spirit of Pythos will be destroyed in America. Pythos, 100th day is this coming Tuesday. This coming Tuesday is the 100th day for the possible intervention by the hand of God upon this world. So I don't know. I'm just putting all these pieces together, And then I interlace those pieces with what the question was earlier about, what do I look at? Well, I look at the pieces of the time windows, but then I specifically, for the market movement, I look specifically at history in the charts. So I pull historic charts, and then I compare the historic charts to present day. And actually, in order to give the best example of that, let me show you, so you can actually, your viewers can see. So here is my a clip of my newsletter. And this was from April 13th. You can see right here. This is the actual clipping from April 13th. Mm-hmm. Okay. So what you're looking at here is what God shows me. So to answer your question is I look at history. So the top chart here is the historic cycle. So that's history. The bottom one is Bitcoin. So if you look at history, going back to September 28th, so I block out, I don't show, where I'm looking at here, what I'm looking at, but what I show you is the historic cycle. And then when you look at this, you'll compare that to present day Bitcoin. And you're going to say, what? Are you kidding me? You see, so what did it say? History said that Bitcoin is going to rise into November 28th, 0.1. It did. And then it dropped for 2 days into November 30th. It did. History then said it's going to rise up into January 11th. It did. History said it's going to drop into January 23rd, 24th. If you go to my Twitter feed, I did 12424, 12424 on that date, and I blasted it like 10 times on Twitter. I didn't say what it was. All my subscribers knew, right? They knew that was the bottom for Bitcoin. Look what happened on the 24th. It turned vertical. It went from 30,000 to 60,000 into the first week of March. Okay? You see, so Bitcoin was supposed to top the first week of March. Why? Because it was in the cycle. Wow. Then it was supposed to drop, and it's dropping right now. Okay, and it's soon to embark on its next adventure. Wow. And it ain't down. Let's just say that. Okay. So the point is, when you look at this, you can either say this is crazy or it's happening in front of our own eyes.
Yeah, it's happening.
But my subscribers know exactly what it is because I just write, hey, this is it's going to go up now into this date. It's going to go down. So all you do is you write, I just write out a narrative of what history did. And then we watch everything replay itself. So what I'm saying is when you go to my and people can, on my newsletter, Bitcoin Index, they literally can go back 2, 3, 4 years because I don't delete anything. 2, 3 years, 4 years of my history is all in there. Do I get everything right? No. Am I in probably 80 and 90 percentile? I don't think there's anybody in the world that has done this analysis to the accuracy. And right now we're running accuracy, I think, like in the 95 percentile probably for the past 9 months.
That's amazing. That's amazing. If you go back, 4 years and 80 to 90%, that is incredible.
So that's why I sleep so well, because I see that's my subscribers, they know what's coming. So there's nothing to fear, right? So if you got cryptocurrency, this is why my point of this conversation with you guys, right? You have a choice. You can turn the TV on and watch fear because evil controls the news media. So you can watch all the fear because John 10:10 is Christ comes to give you life more abundantly. That's where I'm on. I'm on team Jesus, right? Yeah. But on the other side of it, evil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So when you turn the media on, guess what you're watching? Kill, steal, and destroy, and versions of it. Okay. And so I choose to not go there. And so all I do is watch the wonderful things that are coming for our future. So what's coming? Well, biblical intervention, because we're in biblical times. And so those that are on the correct side of this, okay, are going to be blessed beyond measure. And what's going to happen? You're going to see Bitcoin cryptocurrency. You're going to see Bitcoin blow to 100,000 very soon. Okay. It's going to happen. I don't care what anybody says. $100,000 Bitcoin's coming. Yeah. And do I know the exact day? No, I don't care. I know the day it's going to blow. I know important key dates, and I know enough to make me sleep so well at night that it's crazy. And I know that am I holding God's money, because every single currency has always gone to zero. So silver and gold are going to go. When God intervenes, they're going to blow vertical. We are going to see that what I described on the CME. I talk about they're going to know the $3 stops on silver and the $100 stops on gold. You're going to see in 20 minutes silver go $12. In 20 minutes, gold's going to go $400, and then it's going to go no offer or limit up. and it's just going to go, and the computers are going to reverse their trade, and they're all going to go long instead of short. So then you're going to see $4,000+ on gold in a single day, and you're going to see $68 to $70 in silver in a single day when this event happens. And this is coming. You can't stop what's coming. You can just be on the correct side of the trade when all of this goes down. So again, you're not stopping what's coming. It's coming. It just if you think this is all nonsense, that's great, because people have they have the ability to choose whatever.
Yeah,
That's the whole. It's called freedom. That's why the world's in this state, because some people literally choose evil. And evil is real. If you believe in evil, then you got to believe in God. If some believe in the devil, but they don't believe in God. Are you kidding me? If you believe in Jesus, you got to believe in God. You got to believe in the devil. There's night and day.
Yeah, let me add something to that, because it's so funny how I'm sitting here and almost got goosebumps in many aspects, because it's not crazy. All this stuff makes a lot of sense. And it's funny because I was talking to my best friend, Mike O, here in Las Vegas, and we were talking about my show, and just, we were talking about, man, it'd be great to have some different perspectives, some things that kind of shake things up. And we were just talking about this yesterday. Echo messages me, which he's never done at 2 something in the morning. And I'm looking at my text going, I'm up, just so happened to be up watching, I couldn't sleep. And he's messaging me, and we're going back and forth from 2 to 3 in the morning. And he's like, man, you got to get this guy Bo on. So I believe all things happen for a reason. I believe this is a huge blessing. I don't typically get very religious on my show, but I think it's a huge blessing for all those that are watching. And I definitely want to turn it over to Echo and get your perspective on what you're hearing so far, because I think it's absolutely not only intriguing, but amazing. Go ahead, Echo.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I mean, Bo's been on point. I mean, I was thinking right here, whenever you were saying everything and how on point you were with the Bitcoin, the cycle itself, I was like, man, I'm going to have to change my name, because it's actually Bo the Truth right now. But no, I mean, dude, all credit to you, Bo. I mean, to be honest with you, when it comes to the crypto cycle itself, right, a lot of people don't really understand how to actually correlate, right? And to help, give education, to help, give enlightenment to individuals that are especially coming into the space, right? To let them know, that, we're educating individuals that are brand new, not just into crypto, but also, gold and silver, precious metals. The video, I featured you in one of my most recent videos from the Dead Clock, when it comes to the CME, right? And I love that video, because a lot of people don't understand that, we have short positions that are out on silver, and it's purposely suppressing the price of silver and gold. And you can go to the US Dead Clock, and it shows you that like silver has like 369 or paper contracts out per each ounce of silver, which is insane, right? And you can only suppress something for so long before it just moonshots, right? So your video, whenever I watched it, I was like, man, this guy is on it. He knows exactly what he's talking about. I go back and watch a lot of your other videos. I'm like, you're on point, So, and it just goes to show that God has a special way of working everything, and it has a plan. All you have to do is maintain faith especially during some of these turmoil times.
That's right. And for those, someone's asking a question, who is the guest speaker? Bo, his name is Bo Polny. Bo Polny. We actually just, if you go back in the stream, you'll see that we put up his X and his website as well. So if you guys want to follow Bo Polny, make sure that you guys go back, watch that. For those of you guys who are asking, Bo, the stage is yours, sir.
Right. So we said 1,260 days from the election of November. So back to the 400 years Israel's in bondage. Okay. So what are we really looking for? All those people out there going, my goodness, I just want XRP to go up. And I'm saying that because I don't know why people are so addicted to XRP. Like, honestly, as good as XRP is, Shiba's going to multiply, I believe, what XRP is about to do here. It's just whatever the meme coin is, the patterns on it are crazy. So, and there's other coins that I like as well, too. But but that's just one example of other coins that people, that I personally, I don't give advice. That I'm personally.
And Bo, as much as I love you as my new friend, there's a lot of XRP people here that love it. So we don't want we want to
exactly. And that's why I'm not bashing it. Yeah, I'm not bashing XRP. I think XRP is a really good coin.
Yeah.
I just the problem that I have on the big picture of things on XRP, and I want people to verify this. When you go to cloud, okay, so we know evil's, again, I'm just trying to help people understand evil is in this world, okay?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Evil, the reason XRP hasn't exploded is because evil is controlling the price of cryptocurrency to the best they can. They can't control gold and silver because they can control gold and silver because they can use paper contracts.
Right.
But they cannot create Bitcoin out of thin air, so they can only tag team in the same day to smash the price down.
Right.
But the point I'm trying to make is that's why Bitcoin right now is in the 60,000s,
right.
and gold is only, I want to use the word only, 24,000 or 23,000 only. Right. Gold should be equal to that of Bitcoin. Okay.
Right.
So, but because they have paper derivative contracts that you guys Echo and yourself are speaking of, Jay, these paper derivative contracts allow them to manipulate the price. So it's called the paper price of precious metals. So we're seeing this massive manipulation to hold prices down. But when we see a biblical intervention, we're going to see gold and silver explode, but they will never explode until we have a biblical intervention. And meaning that XRP is never going to go past 50, 60 cents, or 70 cents. It's never go past $1. It's never going to go ever higher unless the dollar is dethroned as the world reserve currency.
And I think that's very possible. Like I said, what I love about what you're saying right now is that I can see that you're an expert in what you're saying. And on the flip end of that, Echo and I are both experts in when it comes to digital assets, specifically in utility coins.
Right. So, and then going back to again, XRP is a utilitarian coin. Why will you need a utilitarian coin? Mm-hmm. Okay. So, you can buy meme coin just for a fun trade, but ultimately you're going to need utilitarian coins. I'm not arguing this, Pac, with you because you were correct about this. Because why? See, you don't need it. No one needs XRP right now. I'm going to explain that again. You don't need XRP right now because there's a Federal Reserve note and the Fed wire system. Okay, so when will you need XRP? When the dollar is dethroned as the world reserve currencies, other nations are no longer accepting the dollar as payment. And so we're going to need to transact globally, internationally, and state to state. And so people were now going to look to instruments that are transactional instruments on a new system. And the new system is called blockchain. So I've not done a whole lot of homework on XRP, but I do know that XRP is a transactional instrument, and I was one of the first ones like years ago buying XRP when it had like 5 zeros in front of it. Okay, you literally had to go to Bank of America. The maximum you could buy was $300 worth of XRP, and you have to send a check, and then within a couple of days the money would fund. And it was only through Bank of America that you could actually do this, and this was like years ago. And then you'd send the $300 and you get, I think it was like 300,000 XRP you'd get because it had so many zeros in front of it. So I've been in this game for a long time with regards to XRP, and I do know when I send XRP, it's fractions of a penny as transactional instruments. Okay,
and that in itself is incredible. Not to cut you off, that comment in itself is incredible from when you first saw it and got into it compared to where it's at now. That just speaks volumes. And again, it hasn't even been utilized for what it was created for. I want to take a pause if you don't mind and have Echo just comment on some of the things that you set up until this point, and we'll go right back to you. Go ahead, Echo.
No, I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. No, I didn't want to cut you off or anything, Bo. I love everything you have to say. Everybody has different perspectives, right?
That's right. That's right.
And just like Jay mentioned, we spend a lot of time in the crypto space and in the digital asset space. And I've been blessed to have the opportunity to, be able to speak with developers on the XRP ledger and see exactly what it's actually being utilized for, right? And one of the main purposes is for cross-border transactions and payments. And I do agree that the Federal Reserve note will have to be abolished, right? Or eventually it will be abolished. But until that point, it can there can be a way that we can have two world reserve currencies be at one time and point, right? Until one just decides to it won't be ever be used again, right? And eventually we're going to go on this level playing field where all of these countries and currencies will be able to transact with one another on a unified ledger, right? And this is where blockchain, distributed ledger technology comes into place. And you can't, in my opinion, you're not going to be able to. If we're talking about money of the future, right? We're right now currently. If we send money, it takes a week to send money across borders, and it's very expensive and it's not secured. And you're going to need to put it on a system that can do that, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I would love for Bitcoin to be able to do that, but unfortunately, Bitcoin can't do that, right? Okay. Bitcoin is a great store of value. There's no doubt about that, right? It had outperformed some of the best asset classes out there. But as far as a transactional standpoint speaking, right, there's a reason why, like David Schwartz, who created the XRP ledger, why he, previously developed on the best XRP, or previously was a developer on the Bitcoin network, left the Bitcoin network and created the XRP ledger because, you can't send money quickly through the Bitcoin network. You can't build smart contract like you have to go on a layer 2. That's right. Yeah. Now, not saying that Bitcoin won't, there are some theories that say that Bitcoin is going to go to zero. In my opinion, Bitcoin will always have a value no matter what. Right. But in the future, when I think about the future of how you transfer money, you're going to have to transfer it in a way that's secured, fast, and it's cheap and it's efficient. And again, it's interoperable for all parties across the board. If it cannot be done all across the board and meet all those standards, right, which a lot of them, they fall under what's called the ISO 20022 standard, then, you're not going to, in my opinion, there's going to be regulations and clarity that's going to come in that's going to say, if you don't meet these standards, then you're not going to, you're not going to be able to be used in the future, right? Yeah. So, I can definitely understand why some people can, not like XRP or XLM or, other of those cryptocurrencies that fall under that category, because they don't move like Bitcoin does or like Ethereum does, right? But as far as you can see that the global shift is happening right now as we speak. If Ripple wasn't partnered with the Bank of International Settlement, then I would definitely look otherwise, right? But from what I've researched when it comes to the Bank of International Settlement and when they created, Basel III, most importantly, back in the 2000, because they came in and they created that Basel III implementation for banks to abide by for regulation for their minimum standard of holding reserves. Okay, and that should be coming in by the end of this year. Yep. They came out during the 2009 banking collapse, right? So for me, it's like whenever I look at all the connections that Ripple and XRP and everything that's being put in, it makes me think otherwise of well, this may actually play a big part in the future, especially if we're looking at going through this quantum shift, right? Because that's ultimately what's going to happen. We're going to go into this quantum shift. You can't stop what's coming, and it's going to, it still is a sound. It can be a flip of a switch moment. Yeah, right? That's right. As dark as it can be, right? They're going to bring it to bring us down to our knees to make us feel so vulnerable that they're just going to flip that switch. What I'm hoping for, and everything is just going to be like, holy crap!
And everything
held is going to be on the other side.
And everything's aligning with that narrative. But here's what I want to do, because we're over an hour now. We've got 1,100 people live on X and on YouTube watching this thing. Shouts out to all you guys that are here right now. I appreciate you guys. We've got a ton of questions here for Bo, and I want to get back on track here. Obviously, one of the things that I definitely respect Bo's saying here just moments ago is that he hasn't done a deep dive on XRP, therefore maybe not understanding all the different attributes that it actually has. But because we value who you are, and I want to stay on the things that he is an expert on, which are some of these questions that we have here. What question are we on right now, Echo? Do you remember? Is it 4? Are we on 4?
Yeah,
let me actually chime in a couple of things. So number one is, again, back to, you're talking about Bitcoin. See, Bitcoin itself, again, back to Bitcoin's grandpa. And if grandpa's not going up or grandpa's not in a bull market, neither is XRP. I showed you the chart earlier. So we're waiting for Bitcoin to move. Bitcoin has a phenomenal future. And I think Echo said it perfectly. Bitcoin will be a store of value. Okay. And
Absolutely.
so that's what it's going to end up being, because it's not a transactional instrument. Like, I had to move some Bitcoin just a little while ago, and it's cost me like $150 just to click the send button. Okay.
Yep.
Well, it is what it is. My point is, that's not economical if you want to buy something at the grocery store, a cup of coffee. Okay. So Bitcoin will end up being a store of value versus like coins like XRP, the coins that have a low transactional value to send. Those will be the coins of the future, high speed, low fee coins. So another one would be like Litecoin. I don't know much about it as well too, but to me, most importantly, are coins that you can, for transactions, you'd have to have two things, that can be sent very quickly, received very quickly, and the fees are very low. So those are the two things that you want to look at. And I know XRP does that because I've used it before, and I see how fast the stuff shows up when you click the send button. So again, and from a biblical standpoint, okay, those that are just, I love, like, first off, you should never love anything, okay, except for God. Okay.
Absolutely.
But if you like XRP, scripturally it says you should be diversified 7 ways. Okay. So as good as do I have XRP? Yes. Is that the only coin I have? Absolutely not.
No.
Why? Because scripturally you should have at least 7 coins that you enjoy, that you think.
And let me add something to that, because what you just said is amazing. You should be diversified. I'm diversified. Funny thing is, XRP is not even my biggest holding, and yet I have a lot of it. And so the point I'm trying to make with that is, I just think a lot of coins are correlated with Bitcoin right now because they haven't evolved to be utilized for what they were created for. Like, you might have coins in the utility aspect, or gaming, or AI. They haven't really evolved into the areas of where they're going to be used on a high level. So until that happens, and they won't break away, I think there's going to be a time where certain coins, specifically coins like XRP, XDC, XLM, what have you, will break away from the almighty Bitcoin. But we haven't gotten there yet. We still have regulatory uncertainties in this country. We still have corruption, manipulation. We have all these different variables that play a part in this. And so until that happens, none of these assets can really function. And
that's where the Bible comes in.
Absolutely.
But that's where biblical timing comes into play, because my point I'm trying to make is, I talked about, the 400 years Israel's in bondage, so Mayflower, we're talking 400 years into the November 2020 election. Then you do a cycle of time like you're looking at here. I left the screen up because it'll be for times and a half of time, 3.5 years. Okay, well, you go to the January, remember the J6 stuff? Okay, well, you run 3.5 year cycle, so 12 times and a half of time, 1,260 days. You gotta laugh. This is actually funny. Okay, what are the possibilities that from J6, without saying what went on there, you had 1,260 days? Oh, the 4th of July. Do you understand? There's no coincidences. The math is perfect, and that's why I'm saying, by summertime, this July, people, you're going to need to be, and I said the word many, how many times? Many millionaires will be in existence starting this summer. Okay. Why? Because the Bible calculations indicate it. That's why I left this screen up, because July 4th onwards, their window comes to an end, because it will be ended. And so what came into existence on J6 of 2020, 2021, comes to an end 4th of July. So these are biblical days we're living in, and it's so exciting to watch all this manifest right in front of us. So we're watching these incredible things go down. And the next thing I want to pop is this video that I want to show you as well too, because you're mentioning things with regard to the BIS and how all these evil people have plans and agendas. See, but when God intervenes, you can have something drastically change. And we're about to see something drastically change in our world.
What is your time frame on the next video, my friend?
Okay, the video is 3 minutes, and I think you want to watch it because I just made it for you guys this morning. That's why.
Well, if you just made it for us, then it's
it's made for you guys because the Lord said you gotta put this out there, and it ties in with the video. I literally made this for you guys this morning for your viewers.
Let me say this, Bo. What an amazing blessing it is to have you on this show. First and foremost, I appreciate you. I know Echo appreciates you being here. And excuse me, everyone that's listening in, appreciate you as we come up on 1,200 live viewers. Let's see this video. It's amazing.
Yeah, this literally. So this ties in with the prophecy that we watched earlier about the brothers of Goliath standing glee. We will cripple you, and then it ties in with the Kim Clement prophecy about and he will remember. Listen, what he does. That go back and watch this video again later, and it says, and he will raise a simple stone, and it talks about Goliath. Okay, so remember. Scripturally, God uses symbolism of people and entities. So scripturally, it's written in 1 Samuel 17. It talks about Goliath, and those who know the story of Goliath, literally that this young kid by the name of David comes in and takes out a 9-foot giant with a stone. Understand, God is going to redo that which has been will be again. God's going to use gold to destroy the Federal Reserve. So watch the video, and this will tie in with the clips that you always, when you go to the debt clock and you do all the stuff Echo with regards to the debt clock and the pictures that they're using. So they're getting this from, and I didn't know we're going to go in this direction, but I literally knew to make this video this morning. And this is 1 Samuel 17. The scriptures are read to you, and I inserted a date in there for you and your viewers that you want to watch, because there's a marker in time coming here in the month of May that will it happen exactly on that date? I don't know, but there's a date in this video that you want to pay attention to. Does it happen on that date? I don't know, but I know calculations indicate that's an important date. So could it be a few days before, a few days after? It doesn't matter. That time point is very important within our world. So let's watch the video here, and we'll just enjoy.
Guys, we're live with Bo Polny.
A champion named Goliath, who was from Gath, came out of the Philistine camp. His height was 6 cubits and a span. He had a bronze helmet on his head and wore a coat of scale armor of bronze weighing 5,000 shekels. On his legs he wore bronze greaves, and a bronze javelin was slung on his back. His spear shaft was like a weaver's rod, and its iron point weighed 600 shekels. His shield-bearer went ahead of him. Goliath stood and shouted to the ranks of Israel, "Why do you come out and line up for battle? Am I not a Philistine? And are you not the servants of Saul? Choose a man and have him come down to me. If he is able to fight and kill me, we will become your subjects. But if I overcome him and kill him, you will become our subjects and serve us." And the Philistine said, "This day I defy the armies of Israel. Give me a man and let us fight each other." On hearing the Philistine's words, Saul and all the Israelites were dismayed and terrified. For 40 days the Philistine came forward every morning and evening and took his stand. For 40 days the Philistine came forward every morning and evening and took his stand. David asked the man standing near him, "What will be done for the man who kills this Philistine and removes this disgrace from Israel? Who is this uncircumcised Philistine that he should defy the armies of the living God?" What David said was overheard and reported to Saul, and Saul sent for him. David said to Saul, "Let no one lose heart on account of this Philistine. Your servant will go and fight him." Saul replied, "You are not able to go out against this Philistine and fight him. You are only a young man, and he has been a warrior from his youth." But David said to Saul, "Your servant has been keeping his father's sheep. When a lion or a bear came and carried off a sheep from the flock, I went after it, struck it, and rescued the sheep from its mouth. When it turned on me, I seized it by its hair, struck it, and killed it. Your servant has killed both the lion and the bear. This uncircumcised Philistine will be like one of them, because he has defied the armies of the living God. The Lord who rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear will rescue me from the hand of this Philistine." Saul said to David, "Go, and the Lord be with you." Then he took his staff in his hand, chose 5 smooth stones from the stream, put them in the pouch of his shepherd's bag, and with his sling in his hand, approached the Philistine. Meanwhile, the Philistine, with his shield-bearer in front of him, kept coming closer to David. He looked David over and saw that he was little more than a boy, glowing with health and handsome, and he despised him. He said to David, "Am I a dog, that you come at me with sticks?" And the Philistine cursed David by his gods. "Come here," he said, "and I'll give your flesh to the birds and the wild animals." David said to the Philistine, "You come against me with sword and spear and javelin, but I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied. This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands, and I'll strike you down and cut off your head. This very day I will give the carcasses of the Philistine army to the birds and the wild animals. And the whole world will know that there is a God in Israel. All those gathered here will know that it is not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, for the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands. As the Philistine moved closer to attack him, David ran quickly toward the battle line to meet him. Reaching into his bag and taking out a stone, he slung it and struck the Philistine on the forehead. The stone sank into his forehead, and he fell face down on the ground. So David triumphed over the Philistine with a sling and a stone. Without a sword in his hand, he struck down the Philistine and killed him. David ran and stood over him. He took hold of the Philistine's sword and drew it from the sheath.
And ran.
After he killed him, he cut off his head with a sword. When the Philistines saw that their hero was dead, they turned and ran.
40 days, 40 nights is May 6th from specifically an important date, Passover, which was on the Julian calendar. So the first week of May is lining up to be very important for cryptocurrencies and the financial system.
Love it.
So I'm telling you, we are in not political times, even though it might feel like it. These are biblical times we're living in. These coins that you guys study are going to do very well. Okay. And again, back to Ripple. Not that I'm anti-Ripple. I'm anti-one coin. I think
absolutely. Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
I think if people want Ripple, fantastic, but I think you should have a minimum of 7 coins in your portfolio.
Absolutely.
Just-
and I don't think there's a, I'm not here, Echo's not here, and I'm sure you're not here to tell anyone what that particular coin. I think everyone has to figure out what's the right coin, like what's the right life, what's the right whatever for them. And so I think whether it's Bitcoin, XRP, or Chicago coin, which doesn't exist, I'm just always being facetious with that one, but at the end of the day, people have to figure out what's best for them. What I want to do now, if you don't mind, because we are an hour and 22 minutes into this, 1,300 live viewers, which is incredible. How do you incorporate, Bo, if you don't mind, geopolitical analysts into your predictions? And what role do you see the world events playing in the global financial landscape?
Wars are political. They use the Federal Reserve note to fund the wars. So what are they constantly sending over to Ukraine? Money. Why? The federal, and what kind of money? They're not sending Bitcoin, okay, or Ripple. They're sending the Federal Reserve note to fund the war. Again, John 10:10, Jesus Christ comes to give us life more abundantly, but evil comes to kill, steal, and destroy. So the evil side wants to continue this war. Now, so to answer your question, if the Federal Reserve note is dethroned as the world reserve currency, nations will no longer accept it as payment. Guess what happens to the funding of the war? It suddenly comes to an end. If the funding of the war suddenly comes to an end, guess what happens to the wars this year? They suddenly come to an end. So don't watch the news, read the Bible, understand scriptures. So the answer to your question is very simple. They're coming bringing fear. The United States will fall. It will be a very devastating moment when it loses status as the world reserve currency. It's not going to be a fun time for the world. But at the same time, too, those of like yourself, those of your viewers who have prepared, those of my viewers who understand and they feel from the heart that what we're saying here is truth, they do own cryptocurrencies. I hope they know what a ledger is or what a tracer is. They hold it, they have their private keys, and they don't keep it on platforms because, like when we just read the scripture right there, okay, understand this is Babylon. So Goliath is Babylon. When Goliath falls, this scripture that you just in First Samuel is literally the giant is Babylon. When Babylon falls, so do all of their plans. And it falls with a Federal Reserve note. So everything they're planning falls. Everything they're planning falls, including what their plans are with the BIS. All of this falls, and then a new rises. And this will be what you guys literally are waiting for. You're waiting for the rise of blockchain. It will happen when Babylon falls, when that Goliath that's written, that we just listened in 1 Samuel, when the Goliath falls, Babylon falls, the new blockchain era will rise. Gold and silver will rise. XRP will rise with it. All of the lawsuit will suddenly come to an end. All these things suddenly happen, and then worldwide celebrations break out. But it literally comes down to a moment in time. This is not going to take months. Oh, no. We're talking literally, you're going to wake up in the morning and things went down. This is how this is how it's played out in the Bible. This is how it's supposed to play out in the Bible. So we're just going to watch. I don't know the exact events or the exact day. I'm just telling you, holy cow, like, oh my goodness, oh my gosh, are we close?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I love it. And guys, do me a huge personal favor. Go over to our Crypto4Life page. Make sure you hit the subscribe and notification bell so you guys don't miss any of the incredible interviews like the one that we're doing right now with Bo Polny and my friend Echo. Is just absolutely incredible. We appreciate all your support and everything that you guys are doing. Echo, do you want to read number 5? Or you want me to do it?
I'll go ahead and run it with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
And so Bo, how do you see the role of cryptocurrency evolving in the future, and what impacts might they have on the traditional financial system?
Well, so right now, if we do like a straight line like this to give people a visual, so if you got a straight line, in other words, so this is you here, and this is me here, and you want to send me $100, okay? In the current system, in the middle of that is the Federal Reserve. Okay, so they're the middleman. So evil operates in the middle. So to give people a very good visual is, so you want to send me $100, and thank you very much, or I'm going to send you $100. Okay, but in between that transaction, the Federal Reserve sits and asks, why are you sending the money to Jay? What does Jay need the money for? What's it for? Do you have it? So that's when you go to the bank. They start asking all these questions. So there's not like you. But blockchain's different. So this is me. I'm going to send you $100 of value. I press send, and boom, you receive it. And there's no one in the middle asking questions. You get what I'm saying? So there's the two channels of transaction. But in this hand right here, we've got basically an issue of a middleman. So blockchain, no middleman. Okay, That's the difference. So the difference of when Babylon falls, the Federal Reserve falls with them, or they don't fall, they become unimportant. So when they're unimportant, people now they have these two, then now you don't have one choice, you get two choices. See, this is now what you guys have been talking about. Right now, there's only one choice. It's called a Federal Reserve note. And anybody outside of that system, Bitcoin's dead. It's died hundreds of, it's a fraud. It's used for child trafficking. But what do they use $1 for hundreds of years, right? So there's only one real choice. Yes, you can blockchains there, but it's really not a choice. The only real choice is the Federal Reserve System. When it falls and the BRICS attack and it loses status of world reserve currency, it's no longer the only choice, because people say, wait a second, we don't want that. We want another choice. And when blockchain's already there, it literally, like, how long have you guys been involved in this space, right? I can pick up my phone and boom, click a button, and the world's going to suddenly wake up to blockchain because people still need to transact. And you're not going to be able to buy things overseas. So immediately everyone's going to try to figure out how blockchain works. It's going to be a massive rush into blockchain, and blockchain is going to explode. And then literally what happens is the Federal Reserve System's still there. No one's using it. Or hardly anybody's using it. Everyone's using this avenue. So this becomes the method of choice, and this becomes irrelevant.
Right.
So does that answer your question?
Absolutely. That's great. I'm gonna let Echo. Anything you want to add to that, Echo?
No, I mean he nailed it. I mean, what he explained to me was just how I envisioned the interledger protocol. Right, you have no middleman. It's a trustless system.
So the next question would be: how do you see the relationship between economic cycles and broader societal trends, and what implications this might have for policymaking and social change?
Well, again, kind of tough question to answer. Social change is this. The way we transact will change forever. When this event goes down, the way you transact will change forever, but the social change is going to be kind of horrific too, because those that don't listen to myself, that don't listen to you guys, that don't even have any cryptocurrencies, that don't have gold and silver, are literally stuck in Babylon. And this is majority of the world. So they're living in this world. They think the money system is real, but it's not. It's a fraud. And, like I described, from a droplet to an ocean of money. But the people, majority of the world, say 80, 90% of the world believes the money system is a money system because they grew up in it, right? And so when this event happens, this is literally what's written in the Bible, scripturally, Leviticus, thou shalt consecrate the 50th year and proclaim liberty throughout the land and to all of its inhabitants. Here it is. It shall be a jubilee for you. A jubilee literally means debt destruction. With debt destruction, you get bank destruction. With bank destruction, you get accounts going to zero. So, yes, debts will be forgiven. So that's the awesome part. But there's two things to a jubilee. One is the wealth of the sinner stored up for the righteous. So you get the blessings financially, okay? But before the blessings come, you get debt destruction. So mortgages, all those things I mentioned, mortgages, student loans, credit cards. So you get destruction of that debt. And how does it play out? I don't know. I'm just saying that's what jubilee is. A jubilee is debt destruction. But if the dollar gets dethroned as a world reserve currency, the second thing that happens is those are all related to bonds. So the bond market collapses. If the bond market collapses, the mortgages collapse. The mortgages collapse, the real estate market collapses. The real estate market collapses, all hell breaks loose. So the social order is going to be crazy in our world because most people are not in the understanding. They don't have the wisdom to listen to what you and I say. Many people listen to this podcast and think you and we're all crazy, and when the reality is that their world is normal, but when events go down, they're going to come to realize that's why it's called the Great Awakening. Right. The Great Awakening is people wake up to, oh my God, I've been lied to for the past generations. You believe for the past hundreds of years we've been lied to? You mean the stuff about aliens is all a lie? You mean the stuff they taught us in school is all a lie? You mean that the religion's been all a lie? You see, so Jesus Christ is real. But so is Satan. But religion's man-made. See, they make religion to control and to enslave humanity. They want thousands of religions because it's divide and conquer. So people are coming to this. So the fall of Babylon is literally the Great Awakening. The Great Awakening is both wonderful and horrific. It's a double-edged sword. So I guess that's the best answer to your question. It's a double-edged sword. It's going to be the best of times and the worst of times. The worst of times are those who literally planted evil seeds or thought we were crazy or don't know or they hear but they don't listen. Right. They hear but they don't listen. And so there's going to be people that have immense amounts of money that lose everything. So this is going to be horrific for some people. They're going to lose everything. Wow. And the other side of it, it's the wealth transfer. So that's why I'm saying this summer we're going to see many, I like the word many millionaires are coming this summer. Why? Because it's a wealth transfer is tied in with the Great Awakening. The Great Awakening is a double-edged sword. It's the best of times in the worst of times. The only thing I can say to that, my friend, is amen. It's spot on. Echo, you don't mind reading question 8?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and I want to touch on what you had to say, Bo, because a lot of people they're not realizing it, and it's not hard to see, right? They're tokenizing assets right now, right? They're tokenizing real world assets. That is a key indicator that we're going over into this transition, and it's going to happen very quickly and very fast. And as soon as the blink of an eye, just as fast as information gets transferred through blockchain technology, it doesn't take that long for everybody to adopt to that new standard of living. And with the real world assets, that's going to be a big importance right there, because that's going to help us reevaluate gold, silver, precious metals, right? Because we don't know how much gold is really out there, until everything is actually verified. And this is where blockchain technology does come into play, right? Because we need to get that verification. We need that transparency. And if you can, also utilize, precious metals on top of blockchain technologies to fractionalize that, it's only going to be able to empower. Oh, sorry, go ahead. But
I want to actually, what you're saying there, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but this is important. If you believe in precious metals, believe in precious metals. If you believe in blockchain, believe in blockchain. I think it's important to believe in both.
Right.
Because you want to use blockchain that will be used for transaction at distance. But this is what I want to say. Do not couple the two. So if you're buying digital gold and silver because they tokenized it, okay, that's the wrong idea. Because, please, maybe Jay can expand upon this. But the what gives Bitcoin and blockchain value is it's going to have a price tag because we agree to use it as an instrument of transaction. So the world agrees. That's what gives it value. But the reason it's powerful is because it's everywhere in all different computers, but nowhere, not in one. So blockchain is everywhere, but nowhere. If you take gold and silver and you tokenize it, you got to store it somewhere. The moment that storage facility is breached, that token goes to zero, zilch, nada. Okay. And so that's the huge danger in tokenizing gold and silver. So maybe Jay, if you want to expand upon that.
Gold and silver is more Echo's realm. I know some about it, but I think that's something that I always tune in and connect with Echo. And so Echo, take it away.
No, I mean, the reason why I'm a big proponent of gold and silver is because, like, my family, we're from Vietnam, and whenever the Vietnamese dong, the currency actually collapsed. Right, my grandmother, she held on to gold rather than held on to the currency. So she was able to take her and her children, my father, outside of Vietnam. Instead of being refugees, they were able to come over to America. So I use that as that kind of history toward what I'm sharing with everybody that that watches me, right? And when I think about the tokenization of gold, right, and how they would have to hold it somewhere. I live in Kentucky, so we live I don't live too far away from Fort Knox, so that's where supposedly where the gold is held. We don't know if it's really there, right, because the last time it was audited was back in 1953. Right now, we should have some transparency to see how much gold is actually held at Fort Knox, and which I advocate for. But for the most part, you are right. If there is a breach in that area, then that token could go to zero. Essentially, you would want to have regulations and compliance into place to make sure that, hey, there is gold or wherever that precious metal is tokenized that is verifiable, that no matter what, it's always there. This is where the blockchain does come into place, and it can come in as a form of security and transparency that, hey, if we do need to verify that gold is there at any time and point, it's not like it is at Fort Knox where we have to keep on knocking on the door and trying to get some transparency, right? Because look, we're almost 70 something years and we haven't gotten any transparency from Fort Knox on how much gold is there. So if it's
you're never going to go in Babylon. It's not going to happen. So again, so you're right. It is. That's the thing about the financial system. It's about faith. The word faith and confidence. Okay. The problem is that we've lost faith and we've lost confidence in the system. You don't believe me? Go turn the news on. Okay. Look what's going on in the world. There's no more faith. There's no more confidence. And if people, do not own any precious metals, if people don't own cryptocurrencies, if they think all this is foolishness, then they literally believe that what's going on in the world, that there is faith and there is confidence. And for me, I think I'm, my podcast and how I speak, it is all about faith and confidence. And that's literally what built the United States. And, in 50 years, since Nixon took us off the gold standard, the faith and confidence has been deteriorating. And in the past 4 years, holy mackerel, forget about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Last question here, and well said to both of you guys. What advice would you have? And this is our last question, actually. What advice would you give to individuals looking to protect and grow their wealth in an increasingly uncertain economic environment?
Well, there's nothing uncertain. It's actually certain. See, if you study scriptures and you study the Bible, there is no randomness in the world. And that's why when I say I sleep extremely well. Because I've been involved in cryptocurrencies for many years. I've done extremely well. Okay, it's just when you know what's coming and you prepare for, which I've done now. I've written I didn't need to write my newsletter. I do because people want to know. My point is, but it shows me what's coming. It's just like when I illustrated what happened in November of 2021. I knew it. And was I loading up at the bottom? Oh yeah. Absolutely, because why? And so because I load up the bottom, look, regardless, I'm in a much better position right now because I knew it was a bottom. So my point is to prepare. You need to know what's coming. So there is, yes, the world is going to cause calamity and chaos, but that's the world that we live in. But if you know the Lord, if you know Jesus Christ is in complete control, if you know God's in control of this, then there is no fear. And so how do you sleep extremely well? How do you remove uncertainty? Well, let me ask you. So those that are listening, if you own some cryptocurrencies right now, you should be sleeping well because they're going to multiply in price. It says very clearly in the Bible, it says damages are sevenfold. So these thieves that did what they did, they will have to pay back minimum sevenfold damages within the next 3-4 months by summertime. So we're going to see damages paid minimum sevenfold by this summertime. So silver should go 3 digits by this summer. That's damages. Okay. Cryptocurrencies are going to outperform precious metals, I believe, because of the liquidity, because they're just silver, gold going to go no offer, and then you won't be able to get them. So that's the problem. You just won't be able to get them because all you need is one billionaire to step up to the world, and with a sizable amount of cash, and every single above ground ounce of silver and gold is gone. Okay, so then all the money's then going to find its way into cryptocurrencies. And then you're going to see those multiplying price like crazy into the summer. So that's why I'm saying, as good as gold and silver are going to be, silver is going to be fantastic. And some of the cryptocurrencies are going to be even multiple or even better than that. So it's just, we're living in biblical times. There is no randomness to the world. There is nothing to be fearful about because if you don't own precious metals, if you don't own cryptocurrencies, you should be fearful of these economic times because you obviously believe in a fraud. The financial system is a fraud. So if you believe in it, then you deserve to be you're foolishly going to be in a state of discomfort. But it's sad because, I've been doing podcasts for 4 years trying to wake up the world. There's a lot of prophetic voices out there talking about a great wealth transfer that's coming. You guys are out there talking about precious metal, silver, cryptocurrencies, and even I believe silver and gold as well too, that you want to be involved in that. So there's a lot of people that are speaking wise things. Okay, we're speaking wisdom of what's coming, but there's a lot of people that I think they're really smart. These are the ones, they use their head. They're so smart that they can't see beyond their own foolishness, if that makes sense. And wisdom is not of here. Wisdom's you just feel it in your belly. You feel it in your heart. That's wisdom. It's like, no, that doesn't feel right. But when you use this, you're like, oh, you have all the answers. And this, when you use your head, I have all the answers. That's when you one day, find out you didn't have all the answers and you made a huge mistake. So, financial calamities are coming. These are perilous times, but the Bible talks about them and it says, fear not, for I've overcome the world. Fear not. It says in that Bible how many times? And if you own God's money, I'm telling you, it's a scriptural. It says, Haggai 2:8, the silver and the gold are mine, saith the Lord. And so the day that you receive your first shipment of silver and gold to your house or to your storage facility or to wherever you're getting it, that's going to be the best day or best night's sleep of your life. The day that you click the button and you receive your first batch of XRP or cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin, and it's now sitting in your private wallet, your Trezor, your Ledger Nano, you're going to have a great sleep because only you have the keys to that wallet. You Absolutely. See, so if you've prepared for what's coming, there's nothing to fear. Nothing.
Yeah. So much value. I appreciate you in a major way. Guys, go over and make sure that you follow our friend, Bo Polny. If you go to his X account, it's at Bo Polny. You can actually catch him also on his website here, which gold2020forecast.com. We appreciate you and all the value. Before we get out of here, I want a couple final thoughts, but before we do, Echo, anything you want to add to that?
Bo, everything that you're sharing is spot on. I love your perspective on all the information, because it's great to hear other people's perspective out of everything, right? Because, as much as my name is Echo, you don't want to be in an echo chamber, right? I believe in a very diversified portfolio, right? When it comes to cryptocurrency, when it comes to digital, or it comes to physical assets such as, gold, silver, copper, precious metals, right? Real estate, you have your business, right? You have your nest egg, I would say, right? And I believe that all of us are on that same exact mindset, right? And just getting the information out to the masses out there. And we're part of that great awakening moment. And I believe that people are going to look back at, all of us, including yourself, and be like, oh my goodness, these guys are legendary. They're part of history.
That's right. Yeah, no, definitely appreciate that. Definitely has been a phenomenal stream. Probably one of the best ones that we've ever done, just for the fact that I've learned a lot today. I definitely appreciate you, Bo. I will be following you, and a lot of what you're posting and your teachings, I definitely is inspiring. And for all you guys are here now, the just over 1,700 people watching live on X and on YouTube. Make sure you go over and follow Bo Polny. Amazing. Bo, I appreciate you, my friend. Echo has been incredible. Thanks for all the value and insights. It definitely has been a special live. So with all that being said, guys, I appreciate you guys. Love you guys. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe. Until next time.
Beverly Hills Precious Metals Exchange is a client-focused firm devoted to assisting our clients with precious metals. Our clients range from first-time to serious coin collectors and investors seeking to add precious metals to their investment portfolios. We are not interested in volatile investments, leveraged products, and intangible assets. With rising inflation and the devaluing of the dollar hurting middle-class families, investing in gold and silver ensures protection for your hard-earned money. Save the value of your money today by investing in gold and silver at Beverly Hills Precious Metals.